Hi guys, I'm starting actually a new series that I think will also interest you. Instead of just talking about knowledge and all this information that I get and download, I thought I'd discuss the challenges linked with spirituality. And the very first challenge, and this is something that is like unique to each individual, but you always have like a one major challenge. And one of the major challenges that I've faced over the years, and they've been many, but I mean, some have come and gone. But one of the main ones is the feeling of loneliness. And, in this regard, I mean, just put yourself in the shoes of anyone that switches their worldview to a minority worldview that isn't settled yet, that isn't stabilized yet. Um, and everyone around them is in a different worldview. So I'm thinking of people like Galileo or, Leonardo da Vinci, or people that had like really this profound intuition of there being something else besides the monotheist worldview. And obviously, many of these people would still say, I believe in God, I do this and that, but they would still act and carry out actions that people of their day would not understand, like stargaze and doing weird calculations. Like people would be like, what is this guy doing? Why isn't he just working the fields? And, I mean, what is this? Why would he want to do that anyways? Like, what's the purpose? What's the reason behind it? Um, and, when you do all of these like experiments and stuff, you're really a kind of a weirdo, I guess. And the thing is, you have very little people that you can talk to and that can relate to what you're experiencing. Plus, um, since this worldview isn't settled yet, this new worldview of like this kind of empiricism, materialism, then you can still delude yourself. I mean, there were many people that are considered today to be men of science that would be considered as being delusional because their theories were completely weird and did not live up to observation. Like, for instance, this idea that of the ether, the ether, this kind of substance. I mean, there's many ideas in science. Maybe some of them are actually revisited today and given more credence because we understand where they can kind of come from. But, like even gravity and things like that were considered delusional at some point, while other theories for why, things fall down and whatever were considered science. And so, um, like one of the things that I've, struggled with is that ultimately I have very little people to discuss profound spiritual kind of theories and insights and ideas, um, and I find myself at odds with many people and not being able to convey like the and share the most profound kind of ideas that come to mind because I'm scared of being judged or I'm scared of being rejected or people would think that I'm crazy or whatever. Um, and again, like it's not about rejecting materialism and empiricism. It's just that, as I've explained in my other videos, is just one application that is running inside a broader operating system. Just like monotheism is an application that can run inside empiricism, and labeled as faith or belief or whatever. Now like empiricism strictly is like an application that can run within a broader operating system where empiricism is only the vending machine of the universe of everything that can be related to cause and effect, linear cause and effect, while spirituality is this multidimensional aspect of um, this interdependent origination, concepts from Buddhism and many others where cause and effect are no longer linear. You have multidimensionality, you have non-linear time. And yeah, it's really difficult to discuss all these things openly and also to figure out where you fit in what kind of crowd. Um, yeah, I mean, you feel like you're a stranger virtually everywhere. It's very hard to find your place. And that can be very taxing, which is one of the reasons why I started the spiritual brainstorm. Is kind of like, talking to my phone is sometimes I feel like it's the only quote unquote person I can talk to that isn't going to judge. I mean, afterwards you get the comments, but this community has been pretty nice in their comments so far. So nobody's called me crazy yet. So thank you for that. But yeah, I mean, I think loneliness is one big challenge. I think we underestimate just how much human beings are social creatures and how much you need the support of your fellow humans. And maybe some yogis, can do without that, like just like meditate on mountain remotely and live like completely like disconnected from the world. But for most of us, we still require this kind of human connection, the need to be understood. And I was discussing this with my wife, which fortunately is like, she's like an intuitive massage therapist and clairvoyant, so she talks with spirit guides and all this stuff. So thankfully, I've at least her to talk to. That's really nice. And she did tell me that like in many of these videos, of course, I do deliver content, but the underlying vibration, and maybe you can tell me if she's right, is this kind of yearning to be understood, to feel less lonely. And so everybody kind of, well, not everybody, but it's very difficult for us humans to convey something or say something, and the intention behind it being neutral. Obviously, we always have some kind of, most of us still have some kind of emotional need or hidden intention, not always a bad intention, but an intention nonetheless, which is perceived by the people and they react to that intention. So, if my intention when I, give out all of this content is please understand me so I feel less lonely, yeah, I mean that sets a kind of an undertone for what I'm saying, and so my message may not be delivered as intended, or may not be perceived as intended, and maybe people will see or feel through the facade of, oh, really interesting content, but I feel like this kind of emotional distress coming from this guy. I don't know, like something unconscious, there that you kind of perceive, and that, of course, skews the way you receive the message. So yeah, I just wanted to share that challenge, and I'll share more challenges coming later on. But yeah, so loneliness, and then this idea of, I guess, like once you understand that everyone is kind of in their own reality, like the solution to loneliness when you're under empiricism is simply convince as many people as possible to join your quote unquote church of empiricism. Just like monotheism, just like any other worldviews, you colonize people's brains, and they start to view the world through your lens. And that creates a sense of community and a shared reality and a shared, experience. And so that also like cements this whole idea of not being lonely, of being in a group that understands you, where you can share your ideas. And you have, like, you can think of the modern workplace today as the new churches, because there everybody discusses and exchanges ideas based on empirical thinking and science. So everybody has to like push numbers, crunch numbers, have formulas and all that stuff. And that kind of breaks down with spirituality, even though there are like movements that are being created, and there are like still like certain, well, I wouldn't say they're churches, but certain movements which try to homogenize your worldview in terms of spirituality. But the most fundamental kind of revelation of spirituality is that you are the only one in your experience. You are the only, like, you view the world through your particular lens. You have this deforming sort of lens on reality, and you are the only one. And there's never going to be anyone that is going to view the world like you view it. And so it's almost like you're locked in into this loneliness. And at the same time, so you can't really, this logic of trying to push your worldview onto others, and so they view the world like you do, and then you can have this shared experience and feel less lonely, kind of breaks down once you really understand spirituality, because now it's not about that. It's about everyone sort of freely choosing their worldview depending on what is right for them. Um, and so you have to like kind of, I guess, accept the fact that nobody will truly understand you or truly relate to your personal experience, especially since, like I've said in my many other videos, spirituality is not about empirically proving something. It is about this very personal experience of um, having an experience in this reality. Like for instance, I've done some experiments myself. Like for instance, I've used a tablet to like manifest something, and like with AR. And so what I've done is like I've installed one of these AR applications on my tablet. I've put a virtual garlic on this tablet, and I've sort of projected it with AR onto like a kitchen floor, saying, "Oh, it's going to manifest in front of my eyes." Like it's completely crazy at that point. I mean, I knew it wasn't going to happen technically, because I mean, I don't think we're at that level of consciousness yet, but I just wanted to try it out. And I sort of forgot about doing it. And then a few days go by, and I go to this organic store, and they give me this garlic freely, saying, "Look, this is like an old garlic. Nobody wants it here. Do you want it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So I take it with me to my parents' house, where I was in the kitchen with my tablet doing that experiment. And then the garlic falls to the floor as I walk into the kitchen at the exact place where I was like manifesting it. A few days later, I'm like, okay, right. So that's how it works. And this is not like something that you can empirically replicate, because it depends on your intentions, your level of consciousness. You're the observer creating this experience. And so the experience is going to be molded by who you are. And so at that point, you can't derive like a mathematical formula where you're going to get consistent results. And so you can't have this kind of worldview where you have a kind of found a church on this, or a movement where you can all have exactly the same experience, because you're not exactly the same person. You don't have the same intentions. You don't have the same beliefs. You don't have the same, all of that. And so it's difficult, I guess, to swallow the fact that to some extent, this loneliness is something that you have to accept, in terms of being the only one in your experience, experiencing the universe as you experience it, and that you'll never truly be able to relate or communicate this to anyone. You can share it, but that doesn't mean that the other person can 100% relate, as opposed to like an empirical, experiment where people can relate to the fact that, if you throw a ball, they can also throw a ball, and they can see that it reacts in the same way. So yeah, I mean, let me know if you resonate with that challenge, if you've also experienced that, and hope you like this new kind of series, and talk to you in the next episode. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, the usual, and talk to you soon. Bye.